So let's get into this. As we continue to live through this never-ending Groundhog's Day, rioting and looting broke out in yet another city this weekend. Black Lives Matter protesters in big scare quotes there in Kenosha, Wisconsin, burned, pillaged, destroyed, stole, all in the name of justice, of course. Here's what some of that looked like. Take a look. Rioters also burned an entire car dealership, so you can take a look at the footage there. And I think by far one of the most disturbing incidents from this round of rioting, and really any of the rioting we've seen, is the apparent attempted murder of a police officer who was hit directly in the head with a brick during the melee.
What happened? Oh, he just got bricked. He just got bricked. Yeah, he just got bricked.
Now, the rationalization, the excuse being offered for this latest round of rioting and chaos is the police shooting of a man named Jacob Blake on Sunday. At this point, not much is known about the circumstances surrounding the shooting, but we'll show you now the video that has gone viral and prompted, allegedly, all of this widespread rioting. Now, media reports indicate that police arrived on the scene in response to a domestic disturbance. They tried to arrest Blake, who resisted even after a taser was used on him. Blake then walked around his car with multiple officers pointing their weapons at him, as you saw. Then he opened his door and reached inside, and he was shot 7 times at that point. He's currently alive, though in critical condition. Neighbors claim that Blake was trying to break up a fight between 2 women before the cops showed up. That hasn't been confirmed, but it does appear that Blake, that there were multiple warrants out for Blake for multiple alleged crimes. Were cops arresting him because of his involvement in the disturbance or because of the warrants that were out for him, or both? Who knows? Apparently, Blake has had other violent run-ins with police as well, including an incident in 2015 when he had to be subdued by a canine unit after pulling a gun at a bar. Now, it's not clear, again, whether police on the scene on Sunday knew about his violent history or his warrants or anything else. What we're left with, for now, is a man who chose not to comply with lawful orders, instead opened his car door and leaned inside even as police guns were pointed at him at point-blank range. As always, the dearth of evidence and context has not stopped the media, protesters, politicians from leaping to drastic and firm conclusions. The governor of Wisconsin, Tony Evers, has already tied the case to racism and essentially accused the officers of carrying out a racist hit on an innocent man. Evers tweeted in part, "Tonight, Jacob Blake was shot in the back multiple times in broad daylight in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Kathy and I joined his family, friends, and neighbors in hoping earnestly that he will not succumb to his injuries. While we do not have all the details yet, what we know for certain is that he is not the first black man or person to have been shot or injured or mercilessly killed at the hands of individuals in law enforcement in our state or our country. I have said all along that although we must offer our empathy, equally important is our action. In the coming days, we will demand that that our elected officials in our state who have failed to recognize the racism in our state and our country for far too long." Okay. Needless to say, a decent human being who is interested in providing leadership rather than intentionally fanning the flames of anarchy would never use phrases like mercilessly and racism to describe an officer-involved shooting before he even has the details by his own admission. But Tony Evers is not a decent human being or a leader or a good man. I mean, these are really bad people that are doing this, that are intentionally causing chaos and rioting, even after he knows that one of his police officers was nearly killed. The people, in the media and politics encouraging the chaos that, again, has nearly killed a Kenosha police officer also are not decent or good people. Putting the politics and narrative aside then, what should we really think about this situation? Well, the first thing we should keep in mind is that we've only heard one side of the story, and there's quite a lot we still don't know. Here's a rather significant detail that's being treated as irrelevant somehow. Did Blake have a gun in his car? Media is reporting that he was unarmed, but they don't appear to have any firm basis for that characterization. Blake went back to his car for something, for some reason, right? Was it to retrieve a firearm? He has a history of pulling guns. Did he try it again here? If he did, then case closed. No honest person could possibly claim that a police shooting is unjustified when the suspect is reaching for a gun to use against the officers. But what if there was no gun? Then we're back to the original question. Why was Blake going to his car and reaching inside? Could there be any plausible or even imaginable innocent reason to resist arrest, walk to your car as police point their guns at you and tell you to stop, and then open your door and reach inside? Is there a version of this story where Blake's actions are justified or innocuous? I can't see what that version would be. And more important than how I see this or how you see it, we have to ask whether the police on the scene had good reason to suspect that Blake was reaching into his vehicle to grab a weapon. The answer there is, without question, yes. Again, why else would he be reaching into his car in that situation? If you can scarcely come up with an innocent reason as you sit pondering it on your couch out of harm's way, how can we expect the officers to imagine an innocent reason while they're in the thick of it? And even if they could imagine an innocent reason, are they expected to assume that his actions are innocent and stake their own lives on that gamble? Anyone who doesn't understand why police would want to prevent you from reaching into your car during an arrest need only watch this dash cam video from a highway stop in Pennsylvania for clarification on the matter. And just a warning, it's very graphic here, but I think this is important because it's additional context for the way police are looking at this. Look at this.
Okay, sir. You were going 87 miles an hour. All those costs are associated with the traffic citation, okay? Okay, are you okay? All right. I mean, it's okay. Do me a favor. Come over here. Then place your hands behind your back. What? Hey, place your hands. Stop resisting! I got him. Keep the taser on. Stop resisting!
The shooter there, Daniel Clary, resisted arrest, even through zaps from a taser, eventually made it back to his car where he drew his gun and nearly killed 2 police officers. The Clary arrest and the Blake arrest are eerily similar in many respects, except that in one case, it's the cops getting shot. In the other, it's the suspect. One excuse I've heard offered for Blake is that he was going back to his car because he wanted to get inside and drive away. Well, I would note that driving away while there's a warrant for your arrest and cops are attempting to detain you is not a legal option. Driving away in that case would be far from innocent. Also, the family's lawyer, Benjamin Crump, who manages to involve himself in every high-profile police shooting in the country, says that Blake's kids were in the car. Now, this is supposed to make Blake more sympathetic, but it does the opposite. Why was Blake bringing the officers back to his car where his kids are sitting? He knew they had their guns out. Why would he want to put his own children in harm's way? And if his plan was to drive away and get into a high-speed chase with kids in tow, that would in itself be justification for opening fire because before he could get inside and endanger his children's lives in that way. I don't see any excuse for Blake here. I see a number of reasonable, possible excuses for the police officers. Now, it's possible that more details could emerge that change the equation, and if so, then I'll change my opinion to comport with the facts. The protesters, on the other hand, form their opinions completely separate from the facts, and no additional evidence or context can sway them from the conclusion they drew within 5 seconds of seeing the original video. That is why our society is falling apart at the seams. Not because of police shootings or racism or anything like that, but because a certain very large segment of the population doesn't care at all about the truth. And it really is as simple as that. And that's what we're witnessing. And that is what is burning our cities as we speak. Thank you for tuning into the Daily Wire, one of the fastest growing conservative media outlets in the entire country. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and a subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our content.